So our next speaker coming up here is a woman that from the first time that I met her, I was instantly impressed. And then every subsequent meeting and interaction, I became even more impressed. And I was like, oh my, what, how does she do it? How does she do it? And you guys will likely recognize her and know her. I've had her on the Get Enlifted podcast 3 times, and I'm sure that is not her final appearance because she brings so much value. We have Jen Broxterman.
Okay, so this story begins on a dark and stormy night. It was October 29th, 2018, 5:58 p.m., the moment my life changed forever. My phone rang from a blocked number. Instantly, my heart just dropped into my stomach. I knew who was calling and that it was going to be really bad news. I picked up my phone. Hello, this is Jennifer speaking. Hi, Jennifer. This is Dr. So-and-so calling from the hospital. Do you have a moment to talk? Yes. Unfortunately, I'm calling to tell you that your biopsy results came back and it was positive for cancer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Do you have any questions for me? No. All right. The hospital will be back in touch with you in the coming days. Click. My life changed in 3 sentences. You have cancer. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you have any questions for me? End of phone call. So today on the stage, I'm going to tell you how a symbol, a teacup, and a single word saved my life. So let me paint the picture of where I was in my life 5 years ago. My 34th birthday was like within 1 week, the week prior, and life was going swimmingly, picture perfect. I was a registered dietitian and had my own private practice, Nutrition RX. I had just hired my very first coach to come on board because I was drowning in business. I was a high-level athlete, so I was lucky enough to be a varsity hockey player and rower. For those of you that maybe own CrossFit boxes, my husband owned and I owned our CrossFit gym for 16 years. I just competed at regionals 4 times as an individual. Like I was in tip-top shape. I was a university professor teaching foods and nutrition to first-year students, making the subject matter fun and interesting. And I was just lucky enough to win Teacher of the Year the year before. I was married to the love of my life, my husband Dave, with our black lab Carly. Life truly was picture perfect until that very moment that it all came crashing down. But what I'm so proud of when I got off that phone call is there was something that popped into my head, and it was that I was not going to be a victim. No pity party, no poor me, no why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. This isn't fair. I leaned into basically my resilience and all the prep I had been doing serving others to help myself get to the other side. So in the spirit of maybe adding some value to you coaches today, are you guys cool if I take you through a mental exercise I did the night before my cancer surgery? Okay, so there should be some postcards floating around, and I'm going to lead you guys through the teacup exercise. So I use this all the time as a nutrition coach, but it works in any form of coaching and mindset. And the teacup exercise goes as follows. And also, I wanted to make sure you guys got a copy to keep. So there's a physical copy to take home. And if you want a digital copy, I made a version that's unbranded you can use in your own coaching practice. So if you go to prospernutritioncoaching.com/teacup, or just go to the website on here and add teacup to the end, you guys get a free resource you can use for your own clients. But here's what I did the night before surgery. I drew a blank teacup and I read this message back to myself. You're holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your arm, making you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Well, because someone bumped into me. Nope, wrong answer. You spilled coffee because you had chosen to put coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in your cup, tea would have spilled over. Whatever you put into your cup is what will spill out. Therefore, when life comes along and bumps you, which I guarantee will happen, whatever is inside of you is what will come out. It's easy to fake it until you're rattled. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what's in my cup? When life gets tough, what spills over? Is it joy, gratefulness, peace, and resiliency? Or is it angerness, bitterness, harsh words, reactions, victim mentality, wink, wink, nudge, nudge? So life provides the cup. You choose how to fill it. And so what I actually brought onto the stage today is I brought you guys my teacup. So this is from 5 years ago, the day before I went into surgery. And what I chose to write down is I knew I had to show up filled with love, happiness, courage, resilience, strength, positivity, fearlessness, and inspiration. I knew I had a bumpy ride coming. I actually didn't know how bumpy it was going to get. So I go into surgery and I wake up and things go from bad to worse. So I'm trying to orient myself, start wiggling body parts, and I realize my entire right side is paralyzed and my right leg doesn't work. My toes won't wiggle. I can't move my leg in any way, shape, or form. I look down. I have 32 staples from my rib cage to my pelvis. As the doctors fill me in on what's unfolded, I was just told that I've lost my uterus, my ovaries, my cervix, my appendix, my ileocecal valve. 2 large portions of my large intestine have been sewn back together, and they've accidentally crushed my femoral nerve in my right leg, and they're not sure if I'm going to get my ability to walk back. So I'm going to have to teach myself on a walker and then a cane and eventually how to stand and walk again. I have never experienced pain, 1,000 out of 10 on the pain scale. And as I'm trying to take pain medication, it's making me dry heave and vomit, which is making the pain even worse. So I breathe and I just start to go, you can endure another minute. You are strong enough to get through this. So you guys understand the teacup, and what comes in is what comes out. What I didn't realize leading up to this bomb dropping into my life is that the universe was dropping this trail of breadcrumbs, and every breadcrumb led me to the next thing that was going to help me be okay. So I'm going to take you guys along the breadcrumbs that brought me to this stage today. The first breadcrumb is I actually used to be, of all things, a cancer researcher. So one of the really cool jobs I had in university is I supported one of Canada's biggest cancer research institutes. And one of the medications I was on a breast cancer trial for has an off-label or subsequent label use with ovarian cancer. So I knew to ask about that medication for my own recovery. And the nerd that I am is I started reading every PubMed article on ovarian cancer. And then you probably don't know this. You can just email the principal investigators, the authors of the study. So I just start emailing and calling ovarian cancer scientists all over the world, asking to pay for their time as a consultation fee. No one would accept my money. And I ended up going into a laboratory in the university in our city. And then I got to audit their 4th year advanced cancer class, taking as many notes as I can to learn about it. Breadcrumb, to learn about what it was going to take to get better. Oh, and I should add one important point as I started to go down the rabbit hole about researching my cancer. It was not good. So when I woke up from that surgery, there was no chipper, we got it all, it looks okay. I actually was told I didn't have one cancer, I had 2 cancers. I had low-grade serous ovarian cancer and high-grade serous ovarian cancer. High-grade serous ovarian cancer is a lot like pancreatic cancer. You get it, and you go down within 6 months to a year. So based on that alone, the doctor looked me in the eye and said, you're terminal. You have about a year or less. When you go home, make sure your will and affairs are in order. So if I wasn't going to die from that first cancer, well, good thing I had a second cancer in the back burner. The second cancer, low-grade serous ovarian cancer, grows like a fuzzy tent caterpillar's nest. And so it had stuck to my appendix. Oh yeah, I lost 1/3 of my bladder too. I think I forgot to mention that. So now I pee like a pregnant person. So the tent caterpillar cancer had stuck and adhered to all these different organs. And that's what had grown into my large intestine and was making me feel so sick for years. And that one usually takes people down between year 5 to year 7. So it was not looking good. But I'm so proud of myself. I looked that oncologist in the eye and I said, someone has to be in the 8%. Why not me? haven't actually seen that oncologist since. So, cancer researcher, know the stats, doesn't look good. I'm like, who in the world is so smart at this that can help me out? Second breadcrumb is I leaned into myself. So as a dietitian, I love healthy eating and whole foods and fresh herbs and spices. So I just nerded out on the science of nutrition and cancer. I was already a really healthy eater, but it just supported my ability to nourish my body in a way that was going to help my white blood cells. And in my weird visualization, I pictured a cafeteria lunch lady. So every day my white blood cells would come down the line in my bloodstream. And every meal, every snack, I was like, what's the cafeteria lunch lady today going to serve those white blood cells? You go get them, boys and girls. You go after that cancer and go kill it. And I just really thought of food as nourishing these Navy SEALs inside of me, helping to kill cancer as I went along. So that was breadcrumb number 2. Breadcrumb number 3 in my recovery was all my friendships. I didn't realize how well connected and loved I was until I started to post that I had cancer on my social media feed. And it was like every awesome human being who had ever been in my life came out and was like, I have this gift. I can help you this way. You need me to walk your dog? I'll take your dog for a walk. You're in Canada and you need me to shovel your driveway? I'll do it. I work in high up cancer clinical trial research. Let me connect you with one of the best ovarian cancer clinical trials we can get you into. Every person did something to save my life because they loved me and they wanted me to still be here. And I will never, ever take that for granted. The next breadcrumb along this journey is the Care Bears. So I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s, and I loved the Care Bears growing up. I had a little cheer bear that I slept with every night. And there's this weird thing I always did that I just never told anyone about. I always imagined myself as a real life Care Bear. So when I would work with my nutrition clients, again, going back to the teacup, whatever you put in you is what spills out. And I always pictured love and joy and happiness and positivity and support and warmth and kindness. That always came out of me. And so for years, I always did this Care Bear stare outward. I'm going to come back to the Care Bear. So a little Easter egg. The next breadcrumb is this blue dress. And this blue dress represents a fork in the road. So around the 2 or 3 month mark, I still have a walker. I'm trying to practice rehabilitating my leg. It's the middle of winter in Canada. So I was at the mall doing mall walking like an old person, but it was a safe place for me to rehabilitate. And I saw this blue dress in a window display. And I'm not really into fashion. I'm not a really big shopper. Truthfully, I'm very minimalist at heart and try to tread lightly on the earth and not buy things I don't need. And this dress caught my eye. And I was like, you would actually look really good in that dress. But the part of my brain that had at the time been freaked out by the oncologist telling me I was terminal and actively dying was like, well, don't buy the dress because it's a waste of money. And then your grieving husband after you die is going to have to declutter one more item of yours and it's going to like make him cry. And in that moment, I was like, I am staring at a fork in the road. I can make actions and decisions that align with agreeing that I'm going to die, or I can make actions and decisions in alignment knowing that I'm going to live. I bought the blue dress. Then the next breadcrumb is I accidentally started a second business. So I was getting Reiki treatment from one of those friends that reached out and offered a gift. And the weirdest thing started to happen. My throat started to vibrate. And this thought just kept rotating through my head. You're playing too small. You need to step on a bigger stage. You have this incredible gift of being an awesome nutrition coach who knows how to make it fun and gamified and keep clients engaged and not overwhelming. You need to get on camera and you need to document this and you need to share this as widely as you can with other coaches who have good hearts and want to help, but are maybe struggling a bit with the implementation. So I got on camera and I created a second company, Prosper Nutrition Coaching. And now just like, Mark England and all the Enlifted crew found this awesome technique of story work and breathing, and they've shared it with all of us. I just feel so lucky I get to share my passion for nutrition coaching. And then because I started Prosper, I met a person who said they were signing up for a mindset certification. I knew nothing beyond that. I had never heard of Mark England. I had never heard of the Enlifted Podcast or Kimberly. I was like, mindset certification. Take my money. Here's my credit card. And I stepped into level 1, not knowing a thing. Man, did I get rocked by the Billy story. And so that final breadcrumb of Prosper connecting me to Enlifted brings me here on this stage today. So you guys get the teacup. The symbol is my level 2 tracksuit. Would you mind if I put it on? Okay. So you might be able to guess. So the Care Bear is my symbol. Every message I signed off on social media. Whew, and this is the part where I get emotional. So I was a Care Bear for other people. What every person in my life did is they Care Bear stared back to me. Every person sent me love and healing, and I received it, and cancer started to die. I practiced this where I wasn't so emotional, I swear. So what was so wild and beautiful and fascinating and messy and interesting is I could feel people thinking about me, sending love to me, praying for me, and this popping, tingling, dissolving sensation would come all over my body. And I was like, I'll be darned. Cancer is dying. Someone's love is making cancer die. And it was like every person in my life linked arms, and I got the biggest Care Bear stare, and it hit me straight on, and that was my radiation. I was in radical remission within 4 months of my surgery. They had never seen a case like mine. They're like, how are you alive? How is there no cancer in your PET scan? They weren't going to let me have a PET scan because they told me there was no point. Every person has cancer after this surgery. So that is the symbol that also saved my life. So now you guys get the teacup. You guys get the symbol. October 29th, 2023 is 5 years. I just had my 23rd CT scan on Thursday night in Toronto before I hopped in a car and drove from Canada down to Richmond, Virginia. It's all still negative. So thank you. Guys, I'm in the 8%. Someone has to be it. It's me. And so you guys get the teacup. You guys can see the symbol. Do you want to know what the word was that I picked on October 29th, 2018? That word was unstoppable. Thank you.